Hey, and welcome to the show. I'm the Crypto Kid, and if you're new to these videos, we take a look at Bitcoin and what's going on in the world with cryptocurrency and everything in digital assets and blockchain. So let's start off to see what's happening in Bitcoin today. If you've been following along, you'll see that we are on a huge bull run with Bitcoin, just skyrocketing past 7,000 USD, hitting all-time highs. As we're looking at the screen, I'm actually seeing it just fly through these new ceilings. Currently 7,000, heading to 150. Now these are all-time highs. Okay, this is amazing to see. If you're investing in Bitcoin at all, congratulations, because we're part of something huge here. And I did want to take some time today to talk about just what it means to see Bitcoin doing so well. I mean, it's great that we're profiting from this financially. It's great to see everybody making money and doing well, thriving financially. But it's also, as we see this price just skyrocket, I think it's important to remember the basics as well. So if you take a look at Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper for Bitcoin, you'll notice point 6 here when he talks about things. You'll notice he brings up a few words here about greed, attack. If some people end up trying to defraud people by stealing, um, you know, he gets into these a few different words that talking about undermining the system. Now, in a paper that most will defend as being cold and just technical, it's when you see those words in there, it lets you know that there is some underlying uh, ethics behind this paper that's not just about money and making money and just blocking out the banks. It's really about, in my opinion, changing the world. And so when you see a lot of people in social media, getting cocky about, how much money they've made and seem to forget about what the real intentions were with Bitcoin and how it can change the world for the better, and not just individual lives, but I'm talking everyone, because around the world, not everybody lives the same way. Some people have a lot of struggles, have it a lot harder and a lot worse off than we do. There's a lot of contrast going on in the world in terms of where the financial stability is and where profits sit. And I think a lot of people tend to forget about that. But as we move into the future, you can see this chart here shows how smartphone users are up 800 million, and we're annually reaching or surpassing 1 billion per year, and more as time goes on. So it's no um, it's no distant threat to see how the world is changing and people are getting technology. So when you see people like this saying that Bitcoin doesn't need to be affordable, well, maybe not for you, but for a lot of people around the world that need access to money and they need help more than you and I possibly do. I think it's important not to forget the true intentions of Bitcoin and how it was intended to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, making it easier for people to move money and not have to be, stuck under some banker's thumb and worrying about how they're going to make their next paycheck. So, it's important to see, to not to forget. And as we reach these new highs in Canada, we're almost sitting at $10,000 Canadian per Bitcoin. So, again, this is incredible to see the price action here. But I really wanted to take the time just to mention that I think it's really important to see the true intentions of where the potential lies. And I think it's across the board. There's a lot greater things that we can do with Bitcoin, especially now that it has been established and it has reached the mainstream, or at least it's starting to become more widely known. I think it's important to push these traditions, or at least these ideas, into the mainstream world as well. So there we go. There's my little talk for today. And I'd like to talk about Bitcoin Cash. As we know, it is going up as well. And so it's great to see Bitcoin Cash doing extremely well. And in the market, there's not a heck of a lot else doing too well. And again, this is just because of the huge push. Let's give it a refresh here for Bitcoin. As you can see, 9% in the daily 24-hour change here for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin Cash, impressively, 13.76 today. Now that's just, and I say impressive because it's really hard for all these other coins to compete with Bitcoin when all the spotlight and attention is on that particular coin, trying to head to the moon, so to speak, as we get closer to the 2x hard fork. And I did want to mention Other coins had a bit of a jump this morning, like Ripple and Litecoin, and I believe you'd see that because of the small, don't want to say drop we had this morning, but when we hit 7,000, there was a lot of automatic sells that came in. You can see that we hit 7,300 nonetheless, and it just plummeted quickly after that because a lot of people had it set to sell automatically. A lot of those big whales, and then and then we did see that huge rise come back in. And just in my opinion, but that's more or less what's going on when we have a huge jump in price. A lot of people want to sell. So Bitcoin Cash, I think, felt that as well, but in my opinion, you'll see it climb again as investors look to spread their wealth. And a lot of other people are mentioning Wall Street jumping in. And if there's one thing I know about Wall Street is that it is not their intention to put all their eggs in one basket. So that's another reason you're starting to see Bitcoin Cash go up as well, because a lot of bright people are seeing the potential with Bitcoin and how it can change. Bitcoin Cash, I should say, the potential there. Now, this is an article I read yesterday from someone I follow online. If you don't know who he is, check him out. He's on Twitter, and I'll leave the link below. Ryan X. Charles. The article was called Predicting the Outcome of the November Bitcoin Fork. And he kind of gives three different scenarios. One would be the flippening, where Bitcoin Cash becomes the dominant chain, which I'm really starting to lean towards. If not right after the chain, it'll happen probably sometime in the future. Scenario 2, SegWit 2x winning, with SegWit 2x becoming the dominant chain. And then finally, scenario 3 would be the SegWit 1x winning, with the 2x kind of dying out, but Bitcoin Cash surviving. And he says here that it's probably the least likely or less likely scenario to actually happen, but nonetheless, it's still an option. I think he gives a few more scenarios here, where SegWit 1 and 2 kind of compete with each other until one eventually in the long term dies out. And he's saying the same thing over the long term here. Bitcoin Cash can probably achieve a larger base and then eventually become labeled Bitcoin. But then again, there's a lot of talk where I don't think a lot of people want to see other coins become Bitcoin, especially even Bitcoin Cash supporters would rather, I think, just see it kind of be labeled as Bitcoin Cash or something else. Jihan Wu came out today and said that, where Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin Cash. I think he was replying to someone else earlier, basically just saying that he feels that the name itself should stay Bitcoin Cash, which I tend to agree with, but let the market decide and see where it goes from there. So this has been a little bit longer of an episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave a link towards this episode in the description. And if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.